I came home after spending 2 exhausting weeks sleeping in a hospital chair beside my mother's bed. She had gone into the hospital for what was supposed to be a simple surgery, but serious complications kept her there much longer than expected. I barely slept, lived on bad coffee, and spent every day hoping she would recover. When the doctors finally said she was stable, I drove home looking forward to nothing more than a hot shower, my own bed, and a little peace. Our house stood on a quiet street outside Columbus, Ohio. It was the home my husband David and I had shared for 4 years. As I pulled into the driveway, something immediately felt different. The porch light had been replaced with a new one. I thought David had probably decided to make another surprise home improvement project. I grabbed my overnight bag and walked to the front door. When I put my key into the lock, it wouldn't turn. I frowned and tried again. Nothing. Then I noticed fresh scratches around the new deadbolt. The locks had been changed. For a few seconds, I simply stood there staring at the door. I wasn't angry yet. I was just confused. I pulled out my phone and called David. He answered casually. Hey, there was no question about my mother. No concern about how I was doing. Only a simple greeting. David, I asked quietly, why did you change the locks? He was silent for a moment before answering. This house belongs to my daughter now. You don't have a place here anymore. For a second, I honestly thought I had heard him wrong. What? You heard me, he replied calmly. Emily's name is on the house now. She needs stability, and this makes more sense. Emily was his 27-year-old daughter from his first marriage. She had never been able to keep a steady job and was always looking for someone else to solve her problems. I looked at the front door of the house where I had spent for years building a life. The house where I had paid for the kitchen renovation. The house where most of the furniture had been bought with my money. And where am I supposed to live? I asked. You'll have to find somewhere else. His voice showed no guilt. No regret. No apology. I took a slow breath. I just spent 2 weeks beside my mother's hospital bed because she almost died. I know, he answered. But that's a different issue. Of course it was. To him, this wasn't about family or loyalty. It was about taking advantage of the moment when I was distracted. I simply said, okay. He sounded relieved before he could continue talking. I ended the call. I didn't knock on the door. I didn't argue. Instead, I opened my messages and sent one short text to my lawyer, Daniel Ross. They took the bait. Proceed immediately. Within seconds, my phone rang. Did they really change the locks? Daniel asked. Yes, and David admitted everything. Word for word, Daniel let out a satisfied breath. Perfect, he said. They've just made our case much easier. I looked at the house one more time. Inside were my clothes, my furniture, my documents, and almost everything I owned. David believed changing the lock erased my rights. He couldn't have been more wrong. Months earlier, Daniel had warned me that something suspicious was happening. At first, I didn't believe him. David and I weren't a perfect couple, but we had a stable marriage. We shared bills, watched baseball together, and argued over little things like the thermostat. Then one day I found a document on the kitchen counter. It came from a title company. I expected to see both our names. Instead, I saw only Emily's. I quietly took a picture with my phone before putting it back exactly where I found it. That evening, David acted completely normal. He kissed my cheek, asked about dinner, and watched television as if nothing had happened. The next morning, I called Daniel. After looking at the document, he asked one simple question. Did you ever approve transferring ownership of your house? No. Did you sign any legal documents? No. His voice became serious. Then we need to investigate. Over the next 2 months, I began paying closer attention. David talked about Emily constantly. She just needs stability. It's difficult for young people. Emily also started visiting more often. She walked through my kitchen, touching the cabinets I had paid for. One afternoon, she smiled and said, "These cabinets are beautiful. They should be." I replied, "I paid for them." She laughed but didn't answer. Another day, she stood in the living room looking around. If you change these curtains, she said, the whole room would feel brighter. I looked directly at her. Are you planning to redecorate my house? David quickly interrupted. She's only making conversation. But Emily wasn't embarrassed. She looked like someone imagining what she would change after moving in. That night I confronted David about the paperwork. He dismissed it. It was just something the bank suggested. His explanation made no sense. Daniel advised me not to confront them again. Instead, we quietly collected documents. Bank statements, mortgage records, receipts, renovation bills. Every payment told the same story. Nearly 70% of the money invested in that house had come from me. Even the down payment had come from selling my old condo before I married David. Legally, I had far stronger rights than David realized. Daniel believed they were waiting for the perfect opportunity. Sadly, he was right. When my mother became seriously ill and I moved into the hospital to stay with her, David and Emily believed I was too distracted to notice what they were doing. They chose exactly the wrong time to make their move. Changing the locks wasn't just cruel. It became the biggest legal mistake they could possibly have made.